totally makes sense. And I'm excited to see how these two worlds collide, where actually the existence of Bitcoin may, is incentivize the development of actually cost-effective energy resources versus whatever the environmentalists have determined.
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of, the thing is, so Bitcoin uses electricity, and electricity is incredibly government controlled, and the subject of just unbelievable fraudulent claims. I'm trying to think of how people can find this. I don't know how well Google works for Twitter, but I posted, maybe I'll send it to you later. But I posted a thing on Twitter a while back, which is like my intro for people in Bitcoin to kind of my work on energy. And just, these are the things I think you need to know. And part of what I was getting at is just understanding the amount of fraud in terms of describing electricity. And the genesis of this is that electricity is it's like one giant machine. So the grid you can think of as one giant machine that has all of these inputs and all of these outputs and all of these components connecting the inputs and the outputs. So you imagine with government in control of that, and then people with, I would say, very questionable motives, imagine how arbitrary you can be in ascribing cost to things.
Right.
Like you can just say, like,
it's a monopoly.
Solar, well, you can, but that's part of it. But it's like, you take solar, you can just claim, oh, solar is really cheap, but maybe you only look at the cost of the panels, but you don't look at the system costs of making the panels work. And so it's at the point of fraud where most of the leading companies now claim that they are powered by 100% renewable electricity, which is completely physically impossible and doesn't happen anywhere, particularly with solar and wind. And it's just, they literally do it by paying the grid to give others the blame for their coal, oil, gas, or the coal, gas, and nuclear use, and giving them credit for others. Like, it is literally, my analogy is it's like Tim Cook is taking a yacht across the ocean, and it has a sail on it, and that provides 10% of its energy. And then he gets the accountant to say, oh, Tim got across the ocean on the sail and everyone else got across the ocean on the oil. Like, it's literally that ridiculous. I mean, there are some variations of it, like they add their own unreliable energy, but still the point is, you're using reliable energy and you're claiming that the unreliable energy works. So there's so much. And so this is relevant to Bitcoin, because I already see a lot of lying going on in terms of people claiming, oh, like, I'm using renewable, I'm carbon neutral. I don't believe any of those. Yeah. I mean, I don't believe, I know that they're not true. And that should just, I think my post started with something like Bitcoin stands for honest money. And so it should really be honest about energy. So I do think there are real opportunities to innovate, particularly, you have stuff like what Marty Bent is doing, I think, with, mining, like what would be like stranded natural gas. Like, there are some really cool things. So I do think there's potential, but it is, unfortunately, in the context of grid, I wouldn't say economics, but grid accounting fraud. And so there's a lot of that's permeated the Bitcoin world. But I still think there's potential. For me, the most exciting thing, because I've been on a number of Bitcoin podcasts now, is I just think that Bitcoin, because it's this exciting value that taps into very legitimate concerns people have and aspirations they have, has gotten a lot of smart people to think about new ideas, including Austrian economics. And I think it's also leading people to rethink their ideas on energy and to be exposed in particular to the humanistic perspective on energy, because Bitcoin is so under attack by this anti-impact movement. And so a lot of the initial response was, oh, let's make terms with them and let's pledge to be renewable. And do not do that. That's not going to work. And you're just going to be lying about things. And that you don't want to be lying about things when you're trying to pioneer something that you think is honest. So that's the danger. But the good thing is, there are lots of people who see this attack as a real attack, and who say, like, there's something wrong with this. There's something wrong that there's something as potentially valuable as Bitcoin. And yet all people are talking about is, like, what is it doing to the climate? And then you can sort of get, wait, why are they looking at the whole world that way? We have this amazing machine-filled world, which does all this work for us and frees us up to engage in all of this incredibly productive and meaningful mental labor. And the whole focus is, let's stop impacting climate, even though impacting climate is inextricably intertwined with our whole way of of life. And I think people are, and especially you learn, oh wait, we're safer from climate than ever thanks to these machines. And then you really think, okay, it's not about at all a livable climate.
Yeah.
It's about an unimpacted climate because it's this god of an unimpacted planet. It's really just this anti-human primitive religion that disguises itself by claiming to be for a good environment and by putting forward this delicate nurture view, which is the most unscientific view you could ever imagine.